Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. My name's Diana Carr, and I'm going to get us started here this afternoon. A few housekeeping, and then I'll introduce our speaker, and we'll let him get started. As you may already know, there is no water here today. The pipa has not yet arrived, so all of the bathrooms are not in service. I do need to let you know there's two emergency exits, one straight behind you and one on the other side of the patio. So please feel free to use both of those as you leave or in case of an emergency. Please take a moment and put your phone on mute. I know, I always forget that. Face masks are optional but encouraged. We do have seating in the very back that's more widely spaced out. For those who might be concerned. A little bit about the library. The library was established over 50 years ago. We have a collection in both English and Spanish languages. And we use events like this as part of our fundraising efforts. We also offer tours, hikings, trips, language intercambios, and cultural outreaches. And I wanted to add, we had a new system. So if you were in the system last year, you might not be in the system this year. We still want your membership though. So please consider rejoining if you haven't. Let's see. We appreciate donations of every type, and people at the circulation desk can help with that. We're going to do an hour presentation and questions and answers at the end of the presentation. So please make a note or, just hold your question until the end to let Ludovic get through all of the wonderful information that he has for us today. All right. So our speaker today is Ludovic Sell. Hopefully, an independent illustrator and researcher in pre-Columbian art. Born in France, he moved to Mexico in 2014 and to Oaxaca in 2017. In 2018, he released a 3D reconstruction of Mitla that you actually see in a lot of different websites. And it's at Mitla too, right? Yeah. Your reconstruction is used at Mitla? Not yet. No, okay. But it's coming. He also investigates the step fret Greca symbols that are used throughout Oaxaca. In 2021, he's one of the co-founders of the ARX project, which crafts and funds the Lyobaa project. Please welcome Ludovic Sell.
Can you hear me well? Yeah? All right. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for your presence. That's my first time at the OLL as a speaker. I'm very glad to be here among you. And I want to thank a lot the OLL team. Thank you very much for this invitation. And another one, actually, in February, I will be talking again about the 3D reconstruction of Mitla. And I want to give a special thank to Margie, who's here, Margie Barclay, who contributed a lot in connecting this project, Lyobaa project, with the OLL people and making this talk possible. Thank you very much, Margie. Okay, so let's talk about the project Lyobaa, geophysical study of Mitla in Oaxaca, which did field works in 2020, 2022 and 2023. Okay, so you had a brief presentation of me before, so I will just pass on that. Okay, so let's first talk a little bit about Mitla. I guess most of you are already pretty familiar with Mitla, but basically to say it's an important post-classic city of Mesoamerica, one of the most iconic. In the map of Mesoamerica, Mitla is one of the most important place in terms of religious decisions among the Zapotec, but also in a broader Mixtec, Zapotec, Nahua world. So Mitla is very important on the map of Mesoamerica, but mostly in the post-classic time, which means more or less the last 3 centuries before the conquest, we could say. Mitla was already a town, and the settlements probably even before the time of Monte Alban. I mean, every settlement in Oaxaca started very early, so did Mitla. But Mitla was very late to become a really important place. It became actually an important place centuries before Monte Alban. The fall of Monte Alban is around between 800 and 900, and Mitla rises after 1000 and 1100. And so Mitla, these are 2 images from my 3D reconstruction of Mitla. And with these images, you can have an idea of that this city was probably shining and very impressive. It was a city that the conquistadors and the frailes, they called it a sort of Vatican of the Zapotec, or a Vatican of the south of Mesoamerica. So it's because it was a place of very important decision for the kings, for the lords, for the priests, and it was a place of gathering of the elite of the southern Mesoamerica. So we're really dealing with a very important place. It's the beautiful thing with Mitla is it's still in pretty good shape compared to many sites. We have the chance to have like almost complete facades of Grecas that everybody know. Mitla is very famous for the Grecas. So we have a very fine architecture, which means a very important place. Probably the finest type of architecture with Grecas in all the Mixtec Zapotec world, and just the facade you can see on the top right is the facade of the main temple or palace, the one that is a E-shape, that is the most complete building, and which seems to have been like the house of the great priest of Mitla, because Mitla is considered to have been the place of a very high priest who was an oracle, someone that the elite came from, sometimes very far away, probably came to have his insights through ceremonies. And in my 3D constructions, I wanted to give an idea of the power of the architecture and the sacredness of this place, and to translate that. This is typically something I will explore in the talk I will give in February. So please come back for that one. And in the bigger picture, in the left picture, you can see the market. I wanted here to give an idea that Mitla was not only a place of temples and tombs. It was. We also know that it was an important market. It was on a very important trade network. The path between the Altiplano, where you have the Aztec world, and connecting south to the Maya world and the Central American world, you almost have to pass by Mitla, and Mitla is also connected quite easily to the Istmo and the Veracruz world. So it's really a place at the corner of important routes. So it was an important marketplace. So Mitla has really a very high importance in the map. And but curiously, not curiously. I mean, that's the reality of archaeology. There are so many things we still ignore about Mitla. I mean, the tombs were found empty. The palaces were empty. We have no idea of furnitures, objects, textiles. We ignore so much about Mitla still, but the information we have is very is like showing that that was a very special place that needs to be further studied. So this was the importance of Mitla was really the starting point for the interest we had with the organization, ARX project. We really were aware that Mitla is special and can be further studied. And so here's just a quick slide on the team that our organization gathered. In the photo, you have almost everybody. I think everybody. ARX project is only a very small team. We are just 4. We are not archaeologists in ARX project. We are not archaeologists. We are just very passionate people, very fascinated by Mesoamerica and the ancient world. And we want to help interesting projects to be real and to happen and to be funded and to really make changes. And so we when we started the project, the Lyobaa project, we managed to connect with INAH and the Universidad Nacional Autónoma de México, UNAM. So we started a collaboration, like a team of 3, to make this project. And so basically, when you do a project of archaeology in Mexico, you need to have at least one person from one archaeologist from INAH in your team. So we had any way to work with INAH, where you can't do like a project on yourself in archaeology like that in Mexico. So we collaborate with INAH for that. And UNAM, the collaboration with UNAM is more for the technological side and the expertise of the study of the ground, because the UNAM has a whole area of geophysics. So that's more or less that. ARX project, so the organization of the project, INAH is there like supervising the archaeology aspect, and UNAM is the geophysics. Now, this project in Mitla is a project of a geophysical study, which means studying learning about the ground, the underground of Mitla. So we talk about non-invasive techniques. It's a way to gather data, information about a site without the need to dig. We didn't have to dig anything. So there are 3 technologies that were used. A ground penetrating radar first is that small cart that has a radar, the orange box at the bottom. This is a radar, and it sends waves through the ground, and it receives the answer. And it's very convenient. You just have to push, you make lines, parallel lines, and you the accumulation of these lines give you bit by bit a long parallel of information, and you start to have like a large picture of the soil. And the next technology, electrical resistivity tomography. On the picture, you see like this copper plate that's like that size, and but we can also have like some pins that you just hammer in the ground a little bit. So we have 2 ways. Both devices are, both things are of copper, and this technology, the idea is to send electricity itself. So it's quite dangerous actually to use. We have to really be very careful when we do this work. But you send electricity in the ground, and the way the electricity is circulating in the ground gives also like a mapping or like a picture of the type of ground, the type of density that you have here in the different areas. So depending where you put these plates or these pins, you will understand like a more or less a mapping of the underground. And the third technology, contrary to the other, is harmless. I mean, if there's no danger, there's no higher voltage. But you have electricity that is just to connect and to connect sensors, a series of little sensors that are that size, and to just put them on the ground, a long series of sensors that you can put on a very broad area. And these sensors, they receive or they measure the seismic noise or the seismic activity, even very, 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 very low. Like if you step the ground or a car passes, that kind of vibrations in the ground will be measured will be sensed by these tiny units. And so the collection of these units makes also a mapping of this area that you covered with them. So these are the three different techniques that were used, and the three are very useful depending the areas. And sometimes we try to have all three techniques used in the same area to have like different layers of information or different way to know an area. So that. Okay. Quickly, a map of the Mitla archaeological site. There are 5 important archaeological groups in Mitla. The most famous one, the Columns group, the one you saw in the night in my picture. So this is the main temple palace. You have the church group, which is just north of it. The church is just on top here in this U space. So these are like the main. These are considered as the main temples, the main places historically in Mitla. That's where you have the finest decoration. These two were studied in the first phase of work of the project. It was in 2022, 2 years ago. Now, last year, 2023, we studied these two other groups. For the Calvario group, also known as Adobe group, because the volume is made with big adobes. It's a very interesting pyramid that apparently is older than the other palaces. So we have an interesting group, but it's very ruined. But still, there's probably interesting information to learn about this one. And the Arroyo group, which is pretty similar to the church group, but also in pretty bad shape. But we also studied it. And the south group, out of this map, is the most ruined of all. But it's a big building. It's a big platform, it's a sort of little pyramid. And we know it's very old. And so, yeah, the idea was to really cover all the known Mitla groups, archaeological groups. What I wanted to say about the map and the area is that in Mitla we have compared to a site like Montalban, we have the particularity to be in an urban context. So it's really challenging. We know that there must be remains more or less everywhere in the town, honestly, but they are pretty inaccessible because you're often almost everywhere you're in a private area at the house of someone in a patio. So unless you decide like to agree to make a convenio to arrange something with each owner, you wouldn't learn much in the rest of the town. So we had to focus on the archaeological groups that are like that have a perimeter made by INAH, and that already was quite a lot of work anyway. So, but yeah, we have to consider Mitla is probably owns still a lot of information that will be known maybe in the future. Okay. The day before starting the work, we had an important meeting at the Municipio de Mitla. There was a full presentation of the work that was about to be done, and so that was our main contact with our first big contact with the community. And then later during the work, we had also good connection with, for example, the Comité del Calvario, a group of people who are working on protecting the Calvario, where there's this chapel on the top of the pyramid, the Adobe group. So there are locals from Mitla who are working on protecting this specific platform, specific pyramid, and the chapel on it. So we started a very nice dialogue with them. We are also very close with the guides and the keepers of the archaeological area. And at the bottom, you have photos when we were talking with the local radios in Mitla. That was also very nice. And also that's where you realize the kind of questions or reactions people do very naturally, very honestly in the radio. And we had to face some questions and doubts. And it's interesting. That's where you realize the reality and what people think of archaeology and science. And sometimes they feel very doubtful about all of that, but you have to convince, and it's the contact with the community is super important, and we were aware of that, and we will keep working on it so that there could be a nice future for the study of Mitla. Okay, so okay, so this is the now I will talk about each group, each archaeology group, and so this is the church group. So as I showed on the map before, the church was built. I think it's in the 7th century, maybe. Was built on the top of a patio of this group, of this pre-Columbian group. And you probably know that in general in the story of the conquest, when a church is built on a site that was recently conquered, in general they put the church or the cathedral or the main chapel just where there was the most important temple, the most important place, the place of meaning, the place where there already was a gathering, So just to keep a tradition or make people come back and then come to the church. So, I mean, there's this dynamic that we have to understand in the colonial story of these places. So, but in Mitla, people who visit Mitla in general focus more on the other building, the columns group with this huge T-shaped building. But actually, the fact that the church is on top of this group maybe means that this group is special, So that's also one of the clues that seems to say that this group maybe is hiding something. And you also probably heard that since colonial times, there are stories about a tunnel or a cave or an underground space, sometimes described as a hell, like a very dark place, very scary place, and sometimes described as a place of cult of the dead or the underworld. Well, many keywords, many ideas were said, talked about this underground of Mitla. Actually, Mitla was before called Lyobaa, and both names mean place of the dead, place of rest, place of tombs. There's the idea of resting in the ground. And so Mitla is highly associated with the underground and the underworld. But in Mitla, you have two tombs that were still visitable a few years ago, not anymore, sadly. But yeah, in Mitla, so you have these very nice, very impressive tombs that you can visit, cruciform tombs. But one could wonder if these two tombs were if that's all we're talking of, if this underworld of Mitla is just these two tombs, or if there's something more. That was one of the questions. And also there was rumors in Mitla, like probably along all the 20th century, but I know some stories are pretty recent, like from the 90s or 2000 stories about some people that have seen that there looks like there's something under the church, maybe. Well, all these clues were like speaking of something hiding. And okay, just to say that the Lyobaa project had quite a focus on the church group, of course, but also studying the other groups. But yeah, the main limit we have had in this project was that the committee of the church, people who take care of the church, they didn't allow the work to be done in this area, in this patio in front of the church. We were not allowed to put any device here. We couldn't work here inside the church neither. So yeah, there really was like, no, we don't want that. We won't allow that. So that's the only limitation we really had in Mitla. And the fact is that's probably on the most special point, but that we have to respect that. But yeah, so because also we are talking about a sacred place and a place where all the meaning around the church, and also there was probably a cemetery in front of the church long before, like maybe 200 years ago, maybe. So probably there's also like a sort of memory of that, and people probably want like just don't touch. Anyway, so we couldn't study this area of the church group but what we have been able to do was to study around the church in this part that is like managed by INAH. INAH manages all this area that is part of the archaeological site. And so you have the church here with the domes. This is the back of the church. And so what you can see here, this line shows the placement of these devices that measure the seismic answer. So these were placed here, here, here. So in the perimeter outside the church area, but this allowed to get some information on this area, because it's like a realm, but it's not ideal, because the geophysicists who installed that, they said the ideal thing would be to be able to make a full loop, and they couldn't connect this point to this point. So the information is very blurry. It's better in this area, but it's too blurry here. So we're missing a lot of detail, because we weren't able to put the devices in the church or in front of the church. But anyway, what you see in blue, the blue area in the middle, so this is a very strong signal of a cavity, of a void. And its location, you have two spots. Its location is of this one, for example, is just under the altar of the church, just where there was rumors of of a tunnel or a tomb. So that was amazing to see with the results of these measures, to see that okay, yeah, we really have a void under the church, exactly where we expected. Of course, as you can see, the information is very blurry. You don't have like a very clear, very sharp shape. We can, for example, we are still unable to say if it's a cruciform tomb, for example, or if it's a different kind of cavity or tunnel. It's also still difficult to say what area would be natural and what area would be artificial. Now, for now, the geophysicists and archaeologists in the project say that it looks like a mix of both. It looks like there's a part of these cavities that is natural and a part that is artificial, that was cut. So we have, with this technology, you can have like you have different ways to look at the data, the information that you get. So it says entrance under the main altar. So we have I mean, in section in side view, I would say, of the data, we see that we have like something descending from the ground, descending from more or less the ground of the church, going down, and then a space like that, and probably something in the other way. Here, I'm not sure about that. If there's more, maybe a cavity even beneath, or I'm not sure. And you see the depth that they can measure more or less around 20 meters depth. They can measure even further below, but it depends where the distance that you place the devices. And yeah, they have a horizontal corridor and what looks like a series of spaces. So when you have like red image like that, it's also an information about density, about the type of material that you have. Here it says a void, and here it would say like a strong density. But I don't recall that they say that it would be like a structure. But sometimes it's the signal like that. It signals like maybe a wall or a monolith stuck in the ground in the soil, that you would have a different signal, not a blue one but a red one. Okay, so we have these different views that the geophysicists can generate to look at the space, what was found. They can look at it like from almost every side. It's a very interesting way to work. You have like a 3D model of the ground. But the sad thing really is that it's still very blurry. For now we don't have the possibility to improve the definition of the signal, because we are not able to scan from inside the church. That's really the limitation for this find. But the signal is very clear. There is a void. There is no doubt about that, and a big void. A void that is like the type that someone can walk inside, like the other tombs of Mitla. And that's where comes this slide that I wanted to show you. So it's just a little reminder, a visual reminder of what the tombs in Mitla, the already two tombs of Mitla look like. And so the most probable, I mean, this void under the church, it's most likely another tomb. I think it's probably just a tomb, not more than that. It could be the most important tomb in Mitla, and that would be the reason why the church is on it. And the thing is that it's most likely completely empty, because it was opened many times, probably during the conquest, the colonial time, and later in construction of the church. Imagine all the times that the entrance to this cavity was accessible. It was enough to empty it completely. So if we can open it someday, we have to be ready that there won't be objects in there or just tiny stuff, like what happens in many sites. But who knows? Maybe there's a part of it that would be like still closed. So just saying that. So it's most probably like the overtombs of Mitla and full of Greekas. And that leads me to quickly tell you about an important testimony from an inhabitant of Mitla. Maybe you know him, is the owner of the restaurant Yan Nadu, that is very near the church and the archaeological site. His name is Omar Santiago Garcia, I think. And he told us, actually, before we did the work at Mitla, he told us already that as a kid, maybe like around 10 or 15 years, as a kid, he was allowed to enter under the altar of the church, because in that time, in the 90s, I think, the ground was different. There wasn't the same tiling, and it was like a not tapa, like a cover, a wood, like a timber cover, and someone who worked at the church in that time felt like he had been he had behaved well that day, and he said, "Okay, you did a good job today. I'm gonna show you like a little secret of the church. Look at that." And he told, "You can enter like for a moment if you want, and just be very quick, because I don't want anybody to learn about that." So he allowed him, and so he entered that, and he said it was very dark, but he could see Greekas. He could see, like, on both sides, he could see these symbols that are famous in Mitla. So he recognized the same kind of spaces as the tombs of Mitla. And it was very amazing. He says that there was a quite steep stairs going down, and it was going then straight and very dark. So, and in that time, you didn't have like a cell phone to put the light and see how far it goes. And so he never knew more about that space. And a few years later, the ground in the church was changed or updated, and they really closed it with concreto, with cement. So yeah, it was closed. But I think this is the only one in Mitla who had told me that story. But we now know that is not lying. And so that's a pretty precious information that he gives us. He told his story also in public in Mitla 2 years ago when we presented the results of the project. I think it's the first time he did that in public, so that was a pretty beautiful moment. That's where we felt, okay, that this research is also like liberating the tongue. It's great. So that was part of the nice community moments we had in Mitla. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say about this void that we, for now, know not enough, but who knows? Oh, and okay. So as I said before, the people of the church in Mitla, they didn't allow us to work inside the church or in front of the church. So we had that sales limitation. And also, considering that means not only not allowed to put these non-invasive devices, but also, of course, not even less to be able to dig, like, as you can imagine. So we are facing like that situation that maybe nothing more will happen about this find. It's possible. But I wanted just to say a few words about the archaeology in church context. It's true that it's not that often that archaeology happens in a religious context, in a church context. I mean, church, an active church. But we have a few examples. In the middle, we have in Mexico City, beneath the cathedral of Mexico City, there where thousands of people enter every day. Beneath the cathedral, there are archaeological remains. We have the remains of the Sun Temple of the Aztecs. There's a temple dedicated to the sun in Tenochtitlan, and it is just under the cathedral. It's not a famous temple, and we can't see it. We just have just a little bit that has been uncovered by the archaeologists. But that's an example where this has been unearthed or studied once the church is built and active. So that's a very good example of a very special place that they have been able to study without disturbing the church. In Lisbon, we have a pretty impressive case. The oldest cathedral of Lisbon, beautiful medieval cathedral, it has this cloister, and the cloister, I don't know the story of the project, but years ago, the archaeologists have been able to make a very impressive excavation in the middle of the patio of the cloister, and they studied every layer of history, and they now have learned in the oldest part of Lisbon, thanks to this excavation, they learned about 2,000 years of layers of history in the very heart of Lisbon. This is full of precious information that they wouldn't have in other parts of the city that are more recent. And this is visitable by the tourists. So that's a good example of so what seems to be a very good collaboration between the science and the religious people. And the last example in Morelia, actually this was made by people from the more or less the same team of Project Lyobaa. They did a study, a scan with the same kind of technology, but inside the cathedral of Morelia, they were allowed to put the devices everywhere they needed. And the idea was to detect and confirm the existence of crypts and tunnels that are from the colonial era. And the project worked very well. It was a very good collaboration with the organization of the church, and this allowed to fully map the crypts under the cathedral. So that's a very good example, and it's from more or less the same people, so that they know that it's possible. Okay, I spent quite a lot of time on the church group because this is the most important find of the project. I will now spend a little time on the other groups where the finds are less impressive, but they still deserve to be talked about. So we spent some time in the columns group. We thought, yeah, of course, this building probably still has some interesting secrets. Let's scan everything that is possible. We in general, we worked when there's no tourist. We try to not disturb much the tourism activity. So we worked early or late. So it was a very good collaboration with the people, the INAH team on Mitla. So you have some photos of the work, the technology at work in this group. Here you have the cables that send high voltage to these plates, copper plates. So they were in the patio, in the part of the patio, and then climbing the stairs and a bit inside too. Yeah, the idea was to have a profile of the entrance of the building, and sometimes it's pretty tricky to find how are we going to place everything. And this technology in particular needs pretty delicate preparation on the computer. They need to make a sort of map or a map of the layout that they will do later. They need to decide, okay, we will put this distance. That there's quite a lot of preparation work for this technique in particular. But once they decide that, then they just put that, and the electricity is sent like for an hour or two. And you can see the geo radar, very, very convenient. You just push it and it scans and it scans okay. So in these groups, yes, there also was an interesting find, not a very spectacular one, but it's the find that is of beautiful importance for archaeology, because we are learning that there's an older version of this building hidden inside it. We found the remains of a stairs that are inside this volume. They are actually more or less here in this area. You see the stairs, the actual stairs. These modern stairs are here. Not modern stairs. Sorry, the stairs of this palace are here, but beneath here you have the gallery of the columns. The columns are here, so they are not on the map, but the columns of the palace are here inside. And beneath the columns, you have the remains of a staircase that you can see here in a section. We have a column, and so what has been detected is the staircase of the earlier version of the building. This for archaeology, this is exciting because that means that there's a longer story to this building. And for now, we can't date this early building. We have no idea when it was built. We can just speculate for now. But as it's not very deep beneath the ground of the actual one, maybe little digging could be enough to get a part of it and find elements that could help date the construction. So this, I mean, at least we're not in the church context. It's very different. We are in the middle of the archaeological site. And so that's a good example of where there's some future. I mean, there's really the possibility, I think, to make a little digging and to gather very interesting information about the story of this palace. That is the most important in Mitla. And other images showing the stairs, the stairs appearing. You saw the plates, the copper plates put climbing the stairs. So that's more or less the type of image that you get. And you have like red, green here. You have a lot of information. Sometimes for the people who are not into geophysics, it's pretty hard to understand what the picture is saying. But then they see a lot, and so. And here we have a case where the geophysics confirms also or shows here the like the how you say that like the remains or the remains of an archaeological work that was done in the time probably of Alfonso Caso in the 20s or 30s maybe, so they did like a rectangular digging in front of the stairs, and they looked if there was something interesting to find, and then they close it. They try to make it like very smooth, but the geophysics scanning shows that kind of remains. I mean, you see that there was a cut made in the ground, so it's not a find. We didn't find something in this rectangle, but we see that the signal is good. The signal is really showing the difference of density, and so I mean the technology is working well, and so that when you have that working with the story we know of the site and the archaeological works, the previous works, that's a signal that we are like you can connect the dots. I would say. Okay, very quickly about the Calvario group. So as I said before about contact with the community, the Calvario group is like under protection and like guarding, I don't know how to say, of a little committee of habitants of Mitla. They are very committed to protect this group, and they made like this fence with a cactus around the pyramid. And they also do a lot of works of cleaning and keeping it in good shape at the top, at the bottom, everywhere. So so we had a very good contact with them, and they realized that this technology was probably helpful for them to protect the pyramid and the chapel. So we did a special study, like focusing quite a lot of time on making a full scan of the pyramid, and also gathering as much information possible of the ground and just under the chapel, so that when they will restore it, they will have a lot of information of what needs to be reinforced, updated, and so yeah, that was like a slightly different type of work. It was more like helping the community on a specific situation, because they actually right now they're working on a restoration of this little colonial building. Just saying also that the 2023, I mean, the work from last year, the field work of last year detected a cavity in this area beneath the pyramid, in an area that we didn't expect it to find something. So we detected like a void in this area of the pyramid. Again, it's pretty blurry. Also, it's pretty difficult to scan because it's a very messy terrain. But yeah, we know that also there's a kind of void here. Doesn't look like a tomb. It's not like so linear or so sharp, but it could be interesting to study further. And also, some scan was made. Quite a lot of scan was made of this group. There's no known tomb in this group, but we wanted to make sure of that. And so we scanned as much as we can the patios and also the spaces inside these little buildings. And well, I'd say that it looks like nothing has been detected in terms of cavity. What is detected here and there are remains of walls or like little structures that they had sometimes in the patio, sometimes inside the rooms, and maybe a little bit of previous story buildings that were before these ones. So we have like that kind of finds in the project. We have that kind of little finds almost everywhere, bits of walls. But it doesn't mean that it's worth doing an excavation to check that. But well, it's still good to have that like archived and mapped to, in case in the future Mitla is like further studied, that it will be very useful. And this is the South Group. Maybe some of you have seen it. It's like 2 or 3 blocks to the market of Mitla and to the Zocalo of Mitla. It's really in very bad shape. It's very sad. It's and actually you have to imagine that this building probably looked like one of the temples or one of the pyramids of Monte Alban, because this group seems to be the oldest in Mitla. It's maybe not as old as the time of Monte Alban, maybe just after, but yeah, you have to imagine the same kind of pyramid as Monte Alban. It had 3 main steps. It has a temple at the top, and it had more buildings around, and all of that has been like swallowed by the urban growing. And what we see, these blocks that all look like rubble, they actually are the actual rubble that was used to fill the inside of the building. And then you have a nice cover, nice finish blocks on the exterior. So the building was probably impressive, really good looking, but all we have is the filling. And And some, again, there's a cavity that has been detected under this one. Also, it's a cavity that the archaeologists weren't aware of, and it has been detected south of I think south of this building, and maybe 2 meter deep. I'm not sure, but yeah, it looks like it could be pretty hard to study, to dig or access. So I wouldn't hold my breath about this one. But well, it shows that there are still stuffs to learn about Mitla. Still structures and a bit of other groups of tombs that could be waiting to be known and accessed. Yeah. Okay. Now a few words about the Mitla landslide. I don't know if some of you heard about that. It's something that actually a lot of people in Mitla have no idea about. It's a geological event that has happened in a time that we actually ignore the date. It could be could be like 500 years ago. It could be 1,000 years ago. It could be a bit more. Who knows? It doesn't look very, very old, but anyway. So as you can see here, okay, in this section, you have the Mitla church, you have the mountain, and here, all this volume is like a huge volume of rubble that like a collapse from the mountain that rolled the slope and arrives at the level of where is Mitla. But the thing is, we don't know if Mitla was already a town, was already inhabited when this happened. This maybe happened when people were still almost at a prehistoric stage. We don't know. But the fact is that it arrives at the level more or less of the church. If this collapse happened during the time of Mitla as a town, as a city, that would mean that this event probably was incredibly strong and terrifying, probably for the Mitla people. Like the mountain is collapsing on them, and maybe killed a lot of people. Who knows? And maybe buried some structures. There was also this possibility. So this event is something that was here. You have the title of the study from 2020. This has been made by another team, Geophysics too. People who are friends with the team of Project Lyobaa. People from the University of Morelia, I guess, I think. And so that's this is a layout from this study in 2020. So it was made just 2 years before our work, and it's like a coincidence that geophysics, there's so much geophysical interest for Mitla in so few years. But so what we did in the project Lyobaa, we wanted to do like a double check or another measurement of this landslide. So we climbed. That was like almost the last day of the project last year. And here you have some photo just to illustrate. This is taken from the top of the landslide. You can see the town beneath, and inside at the end of the town, you have the slope getting very steep here. I don't know if some of you have went to the top of Mitla, to the end of Mitla, but you have it's really very sleepy, and from the bottom you can see like that. It suddenly climbs like that, and this relief is like the end of this collapse. Is the area where the collapse stopped. And so in case if this happened in the time when Mitla was already inhabited, well, you can imagine it was like a very terrifying event. So it's possible that this was a very special moment for the story of Mitla, but we still don't know the date of that. There's a record in a codice, a mixed codex, a record with some drawings about that, actually, showing that there was an earthquake in Oaxaca in the 15th century, like a few decades before the conquest. So who knows? It could be this event. In this study they say that could be the same earthquake. Who knows? But this collapse was happened because of an earthquake. So that talks also a lot about the type of seismic activity we have in Mitla. I think I need like 5 minutes more. And these are photos we have here on the right. You can see two geophysics from UNAM who are putting one of the devices, the seismic probes, in the shadow on one of these huge boulders that you have on the top of is collapse, the volume of collapse that is just on the top of Mitla. And the idea was to make like a long line, like a series of probes at the top of the collapse, at the bottom of the collapse, in the town, and further in the town. So they have like a 4 or 5 probes, seismic probes, and this gives them like different signals, and they then later they process that, and they will have like a huge seismic image of Mitla, and the differences between the seismic answer in the town at the start of the collapse and at the end of the collapse. So they think they will learn a lot, and it will help improve and double check the study that was done before. So maybe we will learn that. But this technology is not able to date the collapse. That's really something that will need another kind of study. And just now, okay. Just now, just a few words about the project and the impact in the media, in the networks. Last year, especially, we had a great reaction in the media, like almost every kind of page, science page and archaeology page, shared about the news that there was a cavity under the church of Mitla. The underworld was revealing itself, and so that was great. It was a great moment, and that was just after the report of the first phase of the work, and then later we did the second phase last year, and actually the latest news event we had was in early December, I think. We had this important paper in the New York Times. Maybe some of you saw it, and so that's the latest one, and that's a pretty important one. The reporter from the New York Times, specialized in archaeology questions, came to Mitla, met with us during the work of the second phase, and it was a great time with him, and we spent a lot of time talking. He heard the story of Omar, the Mitlenio who could enter the tunnel under the church. So that was a very interesting conversation, and we're very happy we have this article, and yeah, thank you very much, and I want to thank a lot every person who already contributed to the project. Maybe I know some of you from the recent visit we did in Mitla, and probably others are already people who contributed. So thank you very, very much for helping, for supporting this project, because maybe you know, but archaeology not in Mexico, but I said especially in Oaxaca, seems to be pretty hard to make a move, and sometimes it looks like there's not many news about archaeology in Oaxaca. Like we have what's in the museums, in the books, but like where are the new finds, where are the new excavations, so it's sometimes it looks like it goes very slowly. So with this project we really wanted to make a certain push make like Mitla, but also Oaxaca in general to have some updates, some new informations to be excited about, and maybe start a new wave or to add it to the other waves around a good dynamic for the study of the beautiful work of the Zapotecs in Mesoamerica. So it's really all about that. And so thank you very much for helping this dynamic to go on. And thank you for being here. That.
So a couple. If you're interested in donating, these are various links you can use or scan the QR code if you're interested in becoming a contributor supporter. The other is water is now on in the 2 bathrooms below. It hasn't arrived here yet, but we have water below. So we're going to do questions. And what I'd like to do is start in the very back and come forward. Did you have a question or something to add? Okay. Okay, so ready? All right. I'm going to start all the way in the very back and just keep walking forward. I saw a hand here somewhere, but I don't know where. Okay. No, I didn't.
Okay, what's next for the ARX project?
Yeah. Thank you for asking that. Yeah, I didn't develop beyond, but okay. Okay. So what's next? In March of this year, we have to give the report of phase 2, the work that was done last year. We will give that to INAH, to the Consejo de Arqueología, and they will validate that, and it will mean, okay, then this work is done, and then publications can be done about this work, and so more details will come out. Actually, I will. The team ourselves, we still don't have all the data to talk about. I mean, they are still processing data right now about the latest works. So very soon we will know more about the finds. We probably will have some more interesting information about what I just talked about. And so that means the upcoming report in March will be very interesting, and will come with articles, and it will be published. For now, we don't have the plan to make another phase of work at Mitla, because we covered already the groups, the archaeological groups of Mitla. And we think we already have a lot of data that can be used for excavations or any kind of study that will come beyond the geophysical aspect. So there won't be more geophysical work in Mitla for now, maybe in further future. For about the church, the cavity under the church, the least invasive solution would be that behind the church, make a very small digging, a very special type of digging, very vertical one, toward the cavity, trying to detect where exactly it comes, and put a camera like they do sometimes with the pyramids in Egypt or other type of places. And so that would be a way to have images of the inside of this cavity. And so that could be a work to be done, but also that could be done by another team. It doesn't have to be limited to ARX project, but that's one of the possibilities. And just saying that also about what comes next. So I said that about Mitla, and now we want to do a work in Teotitlán. Actually, the highest probability is that next year we will be working in Teotitlán. We are starting to write a proposal, a work proposal there. It will be the same kind of work, geophysical study in Teotitlán. The idea is not to find another world. The idea is to make more actually like a mapping of the pre-Columbian Teotitlán that is ignored because there's a lot of buildings and construction on it. So we know very little about Teotitlán, much less than Mitla. So we want to learn about that, and the people in Teotitlán are very excited by this possibility, this work. So that's probably what will happen next year, a work on Teotitlán instead of Mitla. So, well, I wanted to say that, and thank you for asking that.
Oh, sorry.
Uh, I No, I heard some other stories, but these are stories of people who heard that someone talked about them. So it's too indirect to know without details. But yeah, it seemed like they were talking about the same thing. But they were also talking about the church, and there are sometimes comes the saying that it connects from a place to another, yeah, from an archaeological group to another. So we still don't have like a confirmation of that. It's not impossible that there's like a tunnel connecting the church group and maybe the column group. We still lack data. Maybe the new data that will be processed now will give an information about that. That would be interesting. But yeah, the Omar account is the only direct one we have. So, but yeah, it's a very good one.
Who owns or controls the church land in Mitla? Does the state own it, and who can control access to it?
To the church? The church has a committee. I don't know if that's the right word in English. Committee de la Iglesia. I was talking about the Calvario Chapel, and the pyramid that has the chapel. This is kept by the committee of Calvario, and there's also a committee for the church that is much older actually, and each of them work on protecting the monument and the access to it, the sanctity of it, and so yeah, they have there are like maybe 10 people working in the committee of the church, I think, and they have sometimes conversations with people from the whole village, the whole town, and they make decisions based on like a dialogue, general dialogue in the municipal. And so yeah, in general, when the committee of the church says no to the project, in general, that's the answer they got already from the town or some important people in the town. Yeah.
But I was under the impression that the government owns the church land after the revolution. Is that not?
Yeah. I'm not expert at all on that, so I wouldn't go. Look, I'm pretty sure that INAH is in charge of the protection of the building as a monument, as a heritage. I mean, as a building. But the use of it, the access of it is of the committee, I guess. So it's a pretty delicate aspect. But yeah, so they
Just a little bit more about like Omar and the restaurant and his stories. Did you do, or have you been able to do more of gathering information from elders in the community, or asking for information or stories? I have a friend who lives in Mitla, and he always says, "Oh yeah, the old grandparents tell me about there are tombs under their home. They find things, and there are lots of stories and legends and gossip." But is there any way to sort of collect some of that oral history from elders?
It's probably a way to do that. I'd love people from Mitla, young generations from Mitla, to do that work. That would be great because they are there. They are in touch with them. They know them very well. It would be a very good connection. It would be the best way for that to happen instead of someone from outside, especially a weirdo. But let's see. I am also just saying that tales of tunnels of things connecting to another. That kind of story, it's interesting. Maybe you noticed that in your travels. Is that that kind of story happened almost in the whole world. People like to talk, oh, I heard my grandfather, or I saw sometime one, I saw in the wild, there's a tunnel, and people say from generation, they say it connects to this other place. And technically it's like impossible. It would be like 100 kilometers sometimes. So some people say, for a long time, they say that Monte Albán is connected to Mitla and also to Teotihuacan, and they don't realize it's impossible. Okay. We don't even have an example yet of a tunnel between like the two ends of the Plaza of Monte Albán, for example. We don't have that. We just have like a drainage. So it's pretty rare to find like a tunnel in itself. You have that in Peru, and the site of Chavin de Huanta is full of tunnels. That's a pretty exceptional case. But Teotihuacan has a lot of tunnels and also a whole system of caves that is very interesting. But it's pretty special. Not many sites have that. And but as Mitla has caves around it, I mean, around the town, there are a lot of caves that are visitable. It's possible there are more caves here and there, some under the village and near the town, and they progressively probably filled with all the use of the city and became like forgotten, and maybe one of them connects with what's under the church. So it's sometimes you have to like eliminate some of the ideas because they're all like fairy tales. Yeah.
Well, Elsie Clues Parson in Mitla Soul, she did capture some of those stories in the 30s directly from people. So there's some of those captured in some of the old ethnographies.
Mm-hmm.
Ludovic, if you had access to the interior of the church, how long would it take you to map that?
Good question. It would be with the georadar, it would be if you remove all the furniture in 2 days, I think, with the georadar, and the other techniques will take like half a day. Like in 2 days, you do all three techniques easily inside, and would you have something very precise? But at the same time, I would say if we are allowed access inside the church, we already know more or less where is the entrance. So you just remove some of the tiles, and then you enter, and it's there. So it's more a question now that okay, we know where's the entrance, just under the altar exactly. So.
And the other thing I was wondering about was the color blue. Can you tell from those how deep it is? The cavities?
Oh, how big it is?
How deep?
How deep? Well, it seems to be similar to the depth of the tombs in the columns, the ones that you can visit in Mitla. Well, not anymore, but yeah. So like 1 to 2 meters below the ground, and but as the information is pretty blurry, it's possible that it goes further down. And also, just there's something that doesn't really appear on the images I showed, but what's interesting and needs more confirmation is that under the church, we have like the cavity has a pretty linear and like a straight aspect, like looks like a tunnel that is pretty straight and aligned with the church and also the pre-Columbian building. But there's another part that looks like going like in diagonal. And if it's really that, I mean, if the image really says how it is, it's really diagonal. This is an anomaly because you don't have, there's zero example of a diagonal tunnel in all the tombs and tunnels in the whole Zapotec or Mixtec architecture. So if that's the case, that would maybe indicate that there's a natural diagonal cavity connecting with a straight architecture, like a straight tombs or straight tunnel. So that these are some of the clues we have for now. And yeah, many questions. I mean, it raises more questions that gives answers somehow. But
Okay. You partially answered this with the answer to the last question about other kinds of caverns in Oaxaca. I take it your geophysical folks feel that this is a volcanic area and it could easily have produced caverns like that. Is that true or not? And if so,
I don't know enough for that.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, yeah.
Oh, but there are caves around and so forth. That would be an example of something that could not leads to the one under the church, but they could lead to other types of caverns. Is that the case? Yeah.
Yeah, actually, in Mitla, the caves that you can visit in Mitla, they are like up at the start of the mountain. But when you come from Tlacolula, arriving to Mitla, on the side, just after Tlacolula, or a bit after Tlacolula, on the side you have like this mass called the Caballito Blanco and the road to Yagul. And here you have some caves that are like more in the middle of the valley, and there are there's some you can see them from the road, like just passing, you see them with the paintings on them. So some caves seem to be sometimes in the valley, not up to the mountain. So maybe it says that there could be some caves at the level of Mitla, but the town like covered them and like made like pretty impossible to detect until now. So that's one of the clues we could add. It's not impossible. It looks possible, but there's a bit of cave under the buildings. Yeah, probably later because it would be more famous in Mitla if there was caves everywhere. But maybe there's at least one. Yeah.
And just to the area around Yagul and the caves is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, so it's protected. But it sort of ends at that mountain where Mitla begins. So it's an interesting. Yeah. Okay. Was there one more in the back? No. Okay. Oh, just sorry, Wayne. One more. What time?
Real quick. I was curious because Morelos allowed exploration under the church or in front of the church. And that is a community that is not an indigenous community, I'm assuming. So are there other examples? I mean, what about outside of Puebla, were there other pyramids and remains? Is there stronger resistance in the indigenous communities to a front or an excavation or a testing of church property?
Yeah, how do you say? Well, in Oaxaca, there's I'd say famous, but no, because many people probably haven't heard about that. Zachila has a very tough history with archaeologists. I don't remember the years, if it was in the 40s or 50s or earlier. I don't remember. But in Zachila, there was some archaeological working pretty important. That were probably the era where the tomb was found, and the famous tomb with beautiful ceramics and jewelry, and yeah, after that, I think it's after this time, the people of Zachila like almost almost killed or almost are extremely furious. I don't know if what happened, that the archaeologists took all the remains away or all the finds away. I don't know the story exactly, but I know that it's very intense what happened there. Nobody died, but it was like a very scary moment for archaeologists, and so they never came back. So it's really harder. Archaeology in Salcia is probably much harder than in Mitla, but Mitla is also known as very difficult area for that. And actually in Teotitlán we are pretty enthusiastic, because Teotitlán is actually from now very enthusiastic with the idea of new information to come about what they have in the ground, what's their story. And actually Teotitlán is one of the communities who are most famous for the authenticity of its indigenous cultural life, and so it's a good example that you can feel strongly Zapotec, and also have the connection with the Christianity, of course, and be open to science and to. I mean, it's a good story. A good example. So, but I think every village, every town has a different story depending on what happened. Also, Mitla, part of that's what's very tense is about the museum of Mitla, the Zapotec museum of that Frisell, Erwin Frisell had for decades, and that's almost suddenly was closed by INAH in the 90s or 2000, and that was like a very difficult moment for the people of Mitla, because they were used to have a museum that were very open to them, like very, and like this amazing collection. And suddenly this is gone, and it looks like they still have that. Some of them still have that in the throat, and then also the younger generation like somehow feel the same. And there's something to heal in communities like that, like to keep, I think, talking about what happened, and finding better examples of new stories, changing the story, and we really hope we can like help to renew the energy about archaeology in Mitla and in the valley in general. Interesting conversations.
Well, thank you all very much for coming today. And there is another one in February? No, March.
Yeah, I think March. 8th of February, maybe. So. It will be about my 3D reconstruction of Mitla. And so it will be very visual, full of images, and with a video, talking about art, illustration, and what we know about Mitla and what it looked like and what it must have been to live in the city.
I've seen some of those pictures. It's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you very much.